Shiur in the memory of Rabbi Zev who passed away. Very terrible loss for the community. Someone who was a great Talmud Chacham, a Dayan, an editor of major Svarim, Margaret's Torah, and altogether, I would say, one of the founding pillars of Ramat Shemesh, without a doubt. We had to take 3 or 4 people who are most instrumental in building this community. He's certainly one of them. Okay, so Shemay Let's Yoshir for everybody. And I'll put that into context for you. We spoke often about the Vilna Gaon's stages of Geula, and the stage that we are really up to, as I've told you on different occasions, is the identification of truthful leadership. Truthful leadership. Which means Anshe Amana, leadership of great integrity, that's whether it's political or judicial. And as you can see in the world, not only in Israel, but particularly in America and Israel, leading lights of the world and Hashem's cheshbon anyway. It's the place where there are the most Jews. Any place where there's the most Jews are the countries generally that have the focus of whatever's happening to the world, as a general rule. And both are going through incredibly painful processes of whether truth and process of law are being adhered to in an honest way or a corrupt way. That's what I would say. In America, with impeachment hearings and all the nonsense there, and it's just and here in Israel, major test. Israel always prided itself on, its over-the-top judicial, correctness. But, there's a serious question whether there was real overreach here in terms of the indictments that were sent to wax political in any class, chas v'shalom. All I can say is that it's something that the state as a whole has to grapple with. Justice versus personal agenda and corruption. And that's all good, because this is a process of geula. Because what has to emerge here is a consensus that we want honest political and judicial leadership, not only in the secular sense, but also in the Torah sense. And that's one thing that Rabbi Malinowitz truly embodied. What a gift that we had him. Hopefully we'll be able to see other leadership arise that will carry forward. Okay, so on that note, Chazal tell us, speaking of, there's always a delicate balance between what we call chesed and emes. And I'm going to use that as a framework to deal with one of the most difficult parshanut challenges in Bereshit, which is Yafet Sichasan Shel Avdei Avos Mitirosan Shel Banim. The chapter of Eliezer's quest for a life, for Yitzchak, was dealt with in the Torah with grand detail, to such an extent that Chazal asked the question, why do we need 3 conversations? 1, Avram's conversation with Eliezer as it actually transpired, Eliezer's conversation with Rivka as it actually transpired, and then the report of Eliezer to Lavan and Besuel of both conversations. Both his conversation with Avram, the rules of the game, so to speak, the rules of the shidduch, and then his conversation with Rivka. It's exhaustive. There are very many critical incidents in the Torah, even in the life of Avraham Avinu, that are only hinted to with the most feather-like touch. For example, what was Avram? Some people don't even consider it a test. Avram was thrown into the fiery pit of Nimrod, right? Where is that reference to in the Torah? Is there any story about that?
Yeah.
We find that, isn't that an important part of Avram's life? Didn't that launch his career? Isn't that what made him a celebrity? And we'll talk more about Avram's celebrity here in this year, okay? See, really, what was Avram doing at the end of his life? What was really going on? And it's truly remarkable, and it has implications for us today. But the most important launching of a career. Avram, world celebrity. Hear ye, great news. Avram saved from the fiery furnace of Nimrod. Not a word in the Torah, not one pasuk in the Torah. Well, one reference is Amraphel, one of the 4 kings he defeated, otherwise known as Nimrod, masked in the name Amar Pel. Chazal tell us, because he said, throw Avram down into the fiery furnace. Excuse me, if this is such an important part of Avram Avinu's life, why do you have a thinly veiled reference? And yet here, Perek Chav Dalet here is a massive parak in this past week's parsha. Massive. It's psukim upon psukim. Okay. So in order to understand this, we have to understand that what is going on is that Eliezer is carefully calibrating his words in such a way that it's consistent with a specific value and goal. And that's not the emes, but it is known as chesed or shalom. Okay? So let me just show you how so there you have the framework. Now let's start with the questions. What was the rules that Avram gave, for example, that we all know? From whence was Avram telling Eliezer that he has to bring a wife? What were the rules?
Not from Canaan.
Not from Canaan. For sure, no matter what from Canaan, and also not to leave Eretz Yisrael. Those two things were absolutely part of the Shiur. The Chaim Kodesh says that it wasn't that if you perform, you fulfilled my vow. If you don't perform, you're free from my vow. No, there was a part of the vow that remained constant, which is 2 things. Do not take a Canaanite girl, and do not take my son out of Eretz Yisrael. That according to Rabbi Kodesh. The only variable was if you can find, ideally, you could have to find a girl from where?
From my family.
Artsi umoladati. Now, Artsi, generally speaking, are the lands of Nimrod. Avram was not, according to Rashi, was not born in Haran. Absolutely not. Where was he born? He's born where he became famous, Ur Kasdim. Where is Ur Kasdim? You know how far Ur Kasdim is from Haran? You heard of the Fertile Crescent?
Yeah.
The bottom of the Fertile Crescent is Iraq, right across the water from Iran. Literally the tip of yeah.
Was it fertile, really like?
The Fertile Crescent. Yeah, the Fertile Crescent went all the way up from Iraq up through Mesopotamia, where Haran is. Haran's Mesopotamia. It's northern Iraq, western Syria, southern Turkey. That's where Haran is. Not far from where the world got its kickstart after the Mabul. I just saw that some researcher thinks he found of the Teva. Did you hear this?
They found it too?
That he found the Teva?
Again?
Yeah. They found it again. They keep finding it all the time. How many times can you
There was
find the
even a
same?
movie.
Right. Some people say now it's just a rock formation that looks like a boat. But everybody agrees that southern Turkey, northern Syria, that tip of Iraq, known as Kurdistan, is where the world restarted itself, right? So it makes sense that Haran, which is pretty much right there, is a central place. But it's not the furthest reaches of the empire. It went all the way down to the bottom. Avram starts in Ur Kasdim. So he says, Goel Artsi Umoladati, anywhere from Ur Kasdim, all the way up to Haran, where my family Terach took me, when we ran away from the persecution of Nimrod, right? On our way to Eretz Yisrael. Why did they want to go to Eretz Yisrael? Because Hashem told them to? No, Hashem didn't tell them anything until much later. But who was in charge of Eretz Yisrael? The Canaanim had wrested control of Eretz Yisrael from the Semites, from the children of Shem. Correct? So they were interlopers, they were intruders, they had come up from Africa and from who knows where. And they took over the Semitic lands, including Eretz Yisrael. Now, that's why they wanted to escape there, because it wasn't under the jurisdiction of Nimrod. And what did Nimrod do about it? After a while, they said, enough of that. We're retaking the land that the Canaanim stole from us. Of course, they consider themselves have been there forever, right? And so does the world, which is a big lie. And they said, we're taking it back. And that was the war of the 4 or 5 kings, which astonishingly, Avram Avinu fought for whom? Fought for the Canaanim, for the wicked people of Sodom and all their henchmen, because of Lot, which is all very, very, very counterintuitive. If anything, Avram should have joined forces with the other side. Problem is, leading the charge, Chazal tell us, was Aram fell, his arch enemy, Nimrod. He said, I don't want to have, I will fight against Nimrod because the people of Sodom, I was commanded, I'm in charge of them. Perhaps I can bring them to the good. All right, so that's the background. So Avram says, no Canaanim, as much as I'm here, as much as I gave my life to fight for them. Can you imagine? I gave my life to fight for them. And he says, I still don't want them. Because they are what? They are children of
Chum.
Of Chum. And they therefore are cursed. They have the curse. And he told Eliezer, who himself was part of that, he said, I cannot give Yitzhak to your daughter Eliezer, because as Chazal tells us, because you were cursed by Noah. You cannot be the salvation of mankind. Okay, therefore. So the condition was, go back to artzi meladati. What condition did he not make with them? There was a third thing. Remember, lech lecha, mi artzecha, mi maladatcha, and what's the third one? Beis avicha, my family. Does Avram say, take a girl from my family? Absolutely not. No. And yet, when Eliezer, Avram, comes there, what does he say to them? He promises them, my master told me that I have to take a girl from where? From my family. That's a lie. How was he lying? How could he give a blatant lie? The answer is why. Why did he lie?
To be nice.
To be nice to them. Now, there are lies that are just predicated on chesed, meaning you don't want to hurt the person's feelings. You don't want to hurt their feelings.
This girl just gave him water and, well, so he, right?
Well, that's true also. But
she was so nice to him, he's not going to say, I can't take you because you're from my family.
But also, what is his objective? To fulfill Avram's shvuah in the ideal sense. Avram himself didn't make him swear to take some. This is a very important point. He didn't make him swear to take from his family. But would Avram have liked him to take a girl from his family? Of course he would have liked him to take from the family. That's known as emes. So there's chesed, and then there's emes. I want to show you in Eliezer's own words. So when he gets to Haran, he's starting this process. Look what he says. Vayomer Hashem Elokei Avram hakrin alefanei hayom v'asa chesed im Adoni Avram. Do a chesed for Avram. What chesed? Do a chesed that even though he didn't make me swear that I have to take a girl from his family, but, Hashem, do me a favor here, okay? Now, he said, and the benos...
I thought he did swear.
Excuse me. Yeah, he swore, but he didn't swear to take a girl from the family. That he didn't swear, okay?
Why would Abraham be so anxious from his own family? I mean, there was we hear they had one spoke before his father.
They're terrible. They stayed behind. They didn't follow Avram in his journey. Who did follow Avram in his journey?
Lot.
Only Lot and, of course, Sarah. And Sarah would later gain a maidservant named Hagar. So he threatens them. He says, listen, if you don't give me Rivka, I'm going to go to the Yamin or I'm going to go to the small. I'll go to my right, meaning I'll take someone from the daughters of Ishmael, or I'll take somebody from the daughters of Lot. Because they did leave Haran, so to speak. They did follow me into Eretz Yisrael. You didn't. So of course he can't say to them, I want them for my family. They don't share the mission of Eretz Yisrael. However, okay. So what actually happened here? Eliezer makes a Tanai. What Tanai does he make? What was the condition Eliezer makes?
If she gives me the...
Right? Let's listen to what he says. Vatomer, if she says, he says like this. I'm going to make the following. Hatina kadeh. Any girl who I say, please give me a drink, right? And then she'll also say, Shisei v'gam b'malecha ashkeh. Oso hochachta la'avdecha liyitzchak. That's the girl. All right, that is the girl. Now, what happens? It says, Vatomer, he approaches Rivka and he says, give me a little bit of water. Hold on. He again just changed his words. First he said, she has to say, I'll give you a drink. Now he makes it less of a condition. What's he doing over here? Now give me a tiny sip. Excuse me, Eliezer, you made a Tanai with Hashem. Hold to your Tanai. What caused him to reduce it? So, Chaim HaKadosh again says, he saw a miracle. He said, the water, what happened to her?
Rose.
Rose to her.
Rose, he says, okay, that's a factor, because I'm looking for a proof. That also qualifies as a proof. Okay, however, I did make this Tanai, so let's just make sure that the Tanai is fulfilled, even in some representative sense. So he says, just give me a teensy drink. Now, the problem is what does she do? Does she give him a teensy drink? Vatomer, Shisei Adoni. Does she say anything about the camels? No, now that's a problem, because that's not the Tanai. She's supposed to promise the camels, right? Just, wait, look what she does. She quickly gives him to drink. And she finishes giving him to drink. Now, who was Eliezer ibn Avran? According to Chazal, he might have been one of the biggest people ever in the world.
Biggest, you mean?
Biggest, physically biggest person, Og Melech HaBashan. He's otherwise known as Og Melech HaBashan. Yeah.
Eliezer is known?
Eliezer was Og Melech HaBashan, because how do we know? Because it says, Vayavo HaPolit. The refugee came to inform Avram that Lot was captured.
That was old.
Who? Refugee. Chazal say refugee from what? Refugee from the war or refugee from the Mabul? And who is that? Og Melech HaBashan, who had designs on stealing Sarah. Yeah, it's interesting. And whoever has Sarah has the prize. You know, she is really. It's more about Sarah than anything else. Who wants Sarah? So many people want Sarah. Og Melech HaBashan wanted Sarah. Pharaoh wants Sarah. Abimelech wants Sarah. Right? Why? Because Sarah is the Shekhinah. She is what Hashem's objective is in the world. How to fix the Bnei Noach. She's the one. Whoever controls her is actually the one who is controlling the destiny of the world. Isn't that interesting?
So he became Abraham's slave in order to get Sarah?
No, I think he was Avram's slave. But he had designs, evil designs. He says, oh, I'm going to get my master killed, and I'll take over. Right? It's not working out too well for him. He's not having any children with
I don't
her.
like that story.
I mean, my turn. How about my turn? What?
I don't like that. I like Eliezer.
You like Eliezer till now. No, but he was very likable
I'm glad.
until Avram dies. He might have had in him a how shall I say it, subconscious, ulterior motive. How revealed it was to him, I don't know. Right? It was his kavan on some level. Obviously, on a conscious level, he was saying, let's go get him. And he does fight with Avram. In fact, there's a fascinating Gemara in Sanhedrin, Perek Chelek, about the war, about that war. And it relates to the story of Nachum Ish Gamzu, which is fascinating in itself. It says that Shem ben Noach survives, of course, the flood, and survives this war. As we know, he was Malki Tzedek, Melech Shalem, and he gives bread and yain, as we said, to Avram. And he goes over to, and they're talking about the war, good old days. They pull up a beer in a pub, and they're having a drink. Tell me, Shem says to Eliezer, how did you win that war? How did you do it? It was only you and Avram, 318 men, but they say the gematria of 318 is Eliezer, so it was really only, if you understand it's Og Melech HaBashan, it makes a little bit more sense. But they said, well, how did you win the war? It was very simple. We took a bunch of earth, we threw it at them, and it became swords. We took a bunch of straw, and we threw it at them, and it became arrows. Wow, fascinating story. That's the story. Then the Gemara launches into, this is Gemara Perek Chelek, Kuf Tes. It says that Nachum Ish Gamzu got the unlucky draw of being the one who would deliver, well, it was the annual or the monthly, who knows, the tribute to Rome. that the Caesars buy him off, give him the bribe that they should leave the Jews alone. So they filled up a chest with incredible gold and silver, trinkets, precious jewels, even more than gold, precious jewels, diamonds. They said, who is going to deliver it to Rome, get across the Mediterranean, right? Or at least if they could have traveled by land. It was a long trip. You have to travel up Lebanon and then across Turkey and then down into, I don't know, they usually take a boat. But the way the Gemara describes it, he traveled over land. Maybe the truth is that the emperor was in Eretz Yisrael or was not in Rome at the time. So he traveled to him and he got to an inn and they said to him, and they picked him because he says he's Melumad ben Nisim. He'll figure out a way to survive with all this money. Even in the 1800s, you couldn't travel across the Mediterranean without being ransacked by pirates. And even in 1860, you couldn't step out the walls of Yerushalayim without and stay overnight. When they first built Mishkanot Sha'ananim. Right. They used to go there during the day. There were free apartments. Here, take an apartment. They would go to the apartment during the day and run home to inside the walls at night because it wasn't safe. Because the Arabs would come and steal everything. So how are we going to get around? No problem. Give it to Nachum Ish Gamzu. He is Melumad ben Nisim. Okay, so he goes to the inn and he says, people ask him, the innkeeper or the people there, says, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm on my way to see the emperor. And what are you going to do? I'm going to give him this here box. Not a smart thing to tell them. Why he didn't is another question. They figured out. They went to the box, they opened it up, they unlock it, they repack it with dirt, they take out all the gold and silver and precious stones and abscond with it. As they leave, Nachum Ish Gamzu, they rewrap it. Sure enough, he gets to the Caesar's palace, unwraps it, and what's in it? The Caesar sees, here's the gift of the Jews. Dirt. Here's what we think of you. You're dirt. And at that point, the emperor declares death to the Jews. But Eliyahu Hanavi, addressed as a Roman senator, appears and says, the Jews are not stupid. If they sent this, if they wanted to rebel against you, they wouldn't do it in such a ridiculous way. Must be there's something to this dirt. Perhaps it's the dirt that Avram and Eliezer used in their war against the tractable 4 and 5 kings, the most powerful army in the world. Nebuchadnezzar. Hadar LaOmer was Hammurabi, according to Yaacov Weinberg. Nimrod was Gibor Ba'aretz, and these are the most powerful armies in the world, and these two men destroyed them. And sure enough, they took the dirt out against a particularly intractable country. It doesn't say which country it was. I suspect one of the Germanic countries that gave them fits. The Germanic, all the way up. Yeah. The Nazis, but kids. And they sure enough, they were able to subdue them. They come back to Nachum Ish Gamzu and they say, listen, fill up this chest with whatever you want. We're so grateful to you. He refills it with gold coins. Comes back to the inn and they say to him, hey, you're back. Surprise, surprise. How did you survive that? He says, well, yeah, everything's good. And he says, they stay overnight. What happened? He goes, well, something happened. They found dirt in the box, but then they used the dirt, and we won this war, and they gave me this giant, thing. So they said, okay, fine. What they do is they take a chest of dirt, make their way back to the Caesar, present him, said, here's more dirt from Abraham, where we found that. Of course, it's useless, and they are killed by it. Which is, the thing is that Nachum Ish Gamzu, when they opened the chest and found the dirt, and they were taking him out to kill him, what does he say? He says, Gamzu Latova. And that's of course, he's the Rabbi of Rabbi Akiva, who for everything was Gamzu, was always Hakol Tova, and that's the story. So back to Eliezer, Eved Avram, and Avraham. Back in our story, this was a miraculous war, and therefore, at that point, Eliezer, probably thought a lot of himself. He was, after all, witnessed part of this miracle with Avram Avinu. Maybe he saw himself as a bit of a rival to Avram Avinu. And he must have seen a little bit of a rival before. In any case, what does he do? A remarkable thing. He subjugates himself completely to Avram and Hashem. Which means that as long as Avram, the tzaddik, is in the world, he was able to draw out the good of Eliezer ben Avraham. 3 individuals who were world-renowned, powerful people who would have huge impact on the world, all went sour the minute Avram dies. Who are they? 3 major personalities. One is Esav, and that's why Avram doesn't even live till 180, because he has to die at 175, because Avram would do 5 Averos, as it says in this week's Parsha Toldos.
Oh, yeah.
He murdered, he committed adultery, etc., etc. When Avram was 175 years old, so Avram dies prior to that, so
He was
doesn't have to
15
witness
at the time.
what.
He was 15 at the time.
He was 15 years old, yeah. And then Ishmael goes sour. Ishmael also becomes a Rasha, right?
Oh, He
Yeah.
went back to his way?
Yeah, even though Avram then goes back and rescues him and brings him back and does tshuva.
Well, what did I do?
Avram, towards the end of his own life, went to Ishmael and made him come back into tshuva. And he buries Avram
Yeah,
together
right.
with Ishmael, together with Yitzhak, but secondary, he does
Yeah.
tshuva, as we spoke about last week,
says-
Mashiach Rishon, he did tshuva. But the minute Avram dies, that's it, he goes off the derech. And eventually, who does a shidduch in this week's parsha? Esav marries a daughter of Ishmael, double whammy. So then we have all these problems, but there's another problem. Avram Avinu, after this incident of Eliezer's successful search of a shidduch, he gets married himself. Who does he marry? Keturah, otherwise known as
Hagar.
Hagar. What is he doing?
He has a lot of six more children.
And a lot of children.
But she did children.
And he has his 6 more kids, and then he gives them
Which deacon?
Gifts.
He gives them gifts. Okay, 1 second. So Keturah is called Hagar. The Pashup shot in the Pasuk is that he took the Bnei HaBalakshim and sent them eastward. But Rashi is careful to point out that he had only 1 Pilegesh, even though it very much looks like Hagar is called an Isha. No, it's a Pilegesh. Why does he bring her back? What does he want from her?
she did tshuva.
She did tshuva.
Actually, Yitzchak brought her back.
Yeah.
That always
Isn't that
bothered-
interesting?
That bothered me.
Avram finds a shidduch for Yitzchak, and Yitzchak brings, before he even marries Rivka, he already brings back, he uses Ba mi be'er l'chai roi. He's coming from the well. Which well? The well where all the malachim appeared to Hagar the first time she runs away and says, you're going to have a son, a Peru Adam. So he comes from Be'er Lachai, and that's where Yitzchak ends up living after he marries Rivka. And what's this all about? What do we need Hagar for? We've been there, done that. And you know, one of the children that comes out from them is very, very, very problematic. You know who?
Yeah.
One of the nations that tried to destroy Klal Yisrael is born from that second marriage. Midian. Midian. My goodness. Bilam, right? Balak, Midian.
So why did he bring?
And the Benos Midian almost caused the destruction of the entire tribe, the tribe of Shimon. 24,000 Shimonites were incinerated because of the Benos Midian. And they almost cursed Klal Yisrael. Now you know why Midian was. It's very interesting. We never know, like, okay, I understand Bilam, right? Why does Moab want in on it? Because Moab is from Lot, and Lot was again another rival. He thought he was going to be the heir of Avram. But Midian, who cares about Midian? And the answer is, they're also rivals because they're actually the children of Hagar, right? Who Ishmael is a rival, certainly saw himself as heir apparent. These are all those people, all the people who saw themselves as heir apparents of Avram Avinu were all there. Ishmael thought that he's going to get 2 portions, as it says in Rashi. Certainly, Lot said he was going to inherit everything. And Eliezer was hoping that by marrying Sarah, he would inherit, so to speak, all of Abraham's wealth and legacy. So here comes another person, Midian. Midian also felt that way. That solves a big piece of the puzzle. What was Midian? Now we know that what good came out of Midian. There was one very good thing that came out of Midian, and that was Yisro and Sipporah, Moshe's wife, right? And even though his children didn't amount to the leaders that he would help them to be, but Yisro nevertheless is a very, very important person. Why? What does Yisro do?
He gives advice to Moshe.
He gives advice to Moshe, but also what does he do? He goes back to his land and he
tries to convert
converts them all to what?
To Judaism.
True Torah mitzvos. That might be what Abraham had in mind. In other words, even though he took a great risk by bringing back Keturah, but he wanted to bring back all those concubines' kids, at least the ones that were sticking around, i.e. Ishmael and Keturah. Now, the name Keturah is an important thing also.
Who wanted to do this, Yitzchak or Abraham?
Avram wanted to. He said Yitzchak to bring him back. But it was only after he had arranged with Eliezer. Okay, so Eliezer Ebed Abraham? No, he was a bachelor.
He had a daughter.
Oh, I mean, no, see, he didn't. But we don't know his wife's name. He was a single dad. He had a nice daughter. I don't know what happened to her.
What happened to Eliezer?
He becomes Og Melech HaBashan.
He becomes what?
Og Melech HaBashan.
He first becomes?
Who is hired by whom? The nations of Canaan, including Moab as well, and Midian, to protect them from Klal Yisrael's re-entry into the land of Israel.
That's why Moshe had to kill him?
Sichon and Og. They fell to Moshe Rabbeinu, and they were the guardians of Eretz Yisrael from the east, on the other side of the Jordan, so that the Jews would not be allowed to re-enter Eretz Yisrael, from whence they originally came, from the other side of the Jordan, where Avram originally descends into Eretz Yisrael. Right? Ma'asav Asin and Labanim. Under Moshe Rabbeinu comes the second invasion of Klal Yisrael, and who's supposed to stop them? Og Melech HaBashan, and Moshe Rabbeinu is terrified to battle Og Melech HaBashan, as Chazal tell us. Why? Because he is chus of being Mishamish Avram Avinu. He's our Avinu's devoted servant. What did he bring to Klal Yisrael? Only Rivka. Only Rivka.
Right.
You think he has a little merit?
Yeah.
I would say so. Moshe says, I don't know if we can take this guy down. And maybe he's just did so much for us.
The person who makes a shidduch.
That's right.
Gets Haba.
But it's not a shidduch, it's the shidduch.
The
The
shidduch.
most important shidduch in history, because it marks the final transition from Abraham's age into the next era, which is really the family of Yaacov. And Yaacov will be, again, Chesed and Emes. Chesed and Emes. Who's Emes? Yaakov Avinu. Who's Chesed? Avraham Avinu. We're transitioning. Now, I have a lot to say about this. We don't have a lot of time. But I'm gonna let's go one step at a time. I want to come back to Avram in a moment. But let's just go back to Eliezer's Tanai. The most important thing here is that he made a Tanai that was obviously fulfilled, right? Because what does Rivka do? He says, "Vatimaher vata'al ta'ad kadal shoket vataratz odhel be'er." Excuse me, back up. Vayaratz ha'eved likrosa vayomer hadme'eni na mat mayim. I'll make it easy for you. The waters are going up. You obviously are a miraculous girl. I have a sign from Hashem that you're the one. However, let's do the Tanai. Vayomer shesei adoni. Please drink. Vatimaher vaterid kada al yada vatashkehu. She gave Og Melech HaBashan, who could drink a few liters of water, and not even get started. And she gave him to drink. Then it says, the pasuk says, don't think that she gave him a drink.